All right, guys, we're back with another episode of Talking Preps. We are welcoming a new co-host, Mr. Richard Walker, longtime sports writer. Been around long as me, right, Richard?
Yes, sir.
A little bit longer, actually, a little bit longer than me. So Richard's been around. We're going to geek it off right after this. So, Richard, you've been going out covering a lot of games for the Observer. What caught your eye last week? What did you see?
The atmosphere at Mallard Creek for a girls' basketball game was as good as I've seen in a long, long time. Obviously, we knew it'd be a great game. Kiara Anderson and Mallard Creek managed to pull through. But I get to the gym thinking, okay, it'll be a pretty good crowd. I'm at 5:45, and there's a line outside. I barely got in for tip-off, which was at about 6:05. So unbelievable crowd, great atmosphere. People were excited. And, I expect those two teams to meet two more times.
Well, we see that every
Three
year.
more times if we were talking about old 4A classification, but Mallard Creek's 8A and North Mac 7A. And then in the men's side, North Mac is kind of sort of still North Mac, particularly Friday night against Butler, because Ashton Pierce just kind of willed them to a win over Butler, who I felt like maybe wouldn't beat North Mac, but would give them some trouble, and they were unable to do so because Ashton Pierce was just hot as a match, and just kind of took over the game.
Yeah, Gary, circling back to that North Mac Mallard Creek game, you saw that game. I know you follow those two closely, and I know the Mallard Creek people probably want to hear what you have to say.
I talked to several of them at the game. And they were very conciliatory. They were like, "Coach, you do tell the truth. We understand it, but they said we are glad that you recognize that we really upgraded our schedule.
Yes,
and that prepared them for the North Mac game. I think. My thoughts on the game itself. I said it would come down to the others. Kiara Anderson played a great game. I thought Lanice played okay. And, the thing about being a post player, you're dependent on your guards.
Somebody to get you the ball. That's right.
And they went, several possessions, especially in the first half, where they went like 4 or 5 possessions and she didn't get a touch.
Yeah.
And that's always been their bugaboo. To me, is their shot selection and the fear or the failure to recognize you got the best player in the state on your team. How about letting her touch the ball? I didn't say she had to score it every time.
Right.
But, when she catches the ball, the defense is going to collapse and all 5 pairs of eyes are going to her, which creates openings for other players. But there were too many times that they came down, she didn't get a touch, somebody took a bad shot, and Mallard Creek was off and running. I thought the other girls from Mallard Creek played well. They played within themselves. I thought Coach Dixon did a great job of rotating in and out of players and changing defenses, going from man to zone back to man. A little pressure here and backing off there. She really mixed up her defenses. And it kept North off balance. But, when they came out after the half, North caught up very quickly, took the lead.
Yeah.
And it was strictly them getting the ball to Lanice, and she going to work.
Right.
And then as soon as they took the lead, they forgot how they got it and stopped going to her. And once again, Mallard Creek got the lead. And once they got the lead again, they never gave it up. Now, I text you guys during the game in the fourth quarter. Right. I was like, shot clock. That's all I said. We shot clock.
Need a shot clock.
Yeah, because Mallard Creek took the air out of the ball in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, they did. They would run that little circle thing around the top, dribble handoff. Yeah.
And, hey, if that's what the rules allow, hey, great job, Coach Dixon. But I'm sitting there saying, oh, man, I'm thinking we're getting ready to get it to a high-scoring game. And once that air went out the ball, and North had to play chase, and You know,
Look, if North Mac doesn't have the ball, they can't get it to Lenise Joseph, who we can't stop.
There you go. So we'll see. Now it's time for Coach Baker to come up with a counter.
The counter display zone all game. That's the counter. While it's still the game's still being decided. Randall, I had a question. Gary made a comment, and is the person who has a lot to do with Miss Basketball in North Carolina. Is Lenise Joseph the favorite? He just called her the best player to see.
Yes, she is definitely the favorite. But I think the big thing last Tuesday in watching, to piggyback on what we said, that's a game where you, as a coach, you have to go into the huddle and say, listen, if she doesn't touch the ball, you're coming to sit by me. It's that simple. You know, that, like he said, she doesn't have to shoot it every time. But when she catches the ball, she's going to draw a lot of attention, and it's going to allow backdoor cuts. It's going to allow wide open threes, but she's got to get the ball. And, you know, he hit it right on the head. That's been North's Achilles heel. And until they fix it, they're not going to be able to make one of these deep runs that we always think they're going to.
Richard, you saw.
And here's the other key thing that why this game hurts North more than it does Mallard Creek. Well, it doesn't hurt Mallard Creek because they won. But they're playing for seeding,
Right.
and they got Lake Norman that they want to get a higher seed than, because if they have to go up to Lake Norman again. Yeah. That's been their bugaboo the last 2 years. Yeah. They go to Lake Norman, they lose. Now, I don't know if Lake Norman is as good as they have been the last 3 years, but still, that's where North Mac has had their season ended. The last 2 years is going up to Lake Norman.
I'm starting to think you do this on purpose. Like, you love giving Mackenzie a little bit of bullet board material every year.
Oh, and she loves it. She loves it.
She does.
She wanted to, she's top 5 coach in North Carolina. I mean, she still won't tell me what that defense is. I gotta figure it out. Richard, you were at at Butler North Mac on Friday. Did North Mac's girls successfully get the ball into Lenise Joseph on Friday?
Yes, and also this is what I'll say for Coach Baker. I think what she's looking at is Autumn Lacey, who's a freshman, Morgan Knox, who's a junior, are athletic players. Yeah. Now, as I think both Gary and Russell alluded to in the text group, Morgan Knox played a little out of control some on Tuesday night, but I think the hope that Coach Baker and her staff probably has is that over the course of the season, that gives them an extra X factor moving forward. Because, again, we all know Joseph is a really good player and arguably, if not the best player in the state, certainly one of them. And Stephanie Mobley, to me, last year to this year is a whole lot more of an in-charge point guard than she was a year ago. So I think the hope that they have is that they'll progress and get better. Time will tell on that. But to your point, I mean, I think they don't look longingly at having to go to Lake Norman in a playoff game. They will probably have to hope that, like the Lake Norman matchup is in a neutral site in a big arena where they can take advantage of their size and the ability to shoot layups. Because as we all know, teams go to the big arena, it really hampers the perimeter shooting teams. And North Mac's got to hope for that to be the case. But as you guys have alluded, the seeding game could really work against North Mac if they have to play at Lake Norman.
Absolutely. It's funny you mentioned Stephanie Mobley, because you talked to Stephanie Mobley after the game on Friday in North Mac. Let's see what she had to say.
Obviously, y'all wanted to respond after Tuesday, I'm sure. What was that last couple of days of practice like and coming into this game?
Last couple of days of practice, we were really just retooling, gearing down on our mistakes. You know, when you lose, you learn a lot better than when you win. You can really focus on all the little things that turn into big things. So when you lose by 1, you really do have to beat yourself up over, like, every little mistake. I think our defense from Creek to today was a whole lot better. We was on the same page, and that's what it's going to take to really make a run.
And obviously, Hannah Moss was having a great year coming in. Looked like you and a couple of other people kind of focused on her. I mean, she scored 25, but you held her bounce to 14 or 18. So what kind of a defensive job you doing her?
You know, after that first quarter, you know, it was easy to identify where the problem was, where the disconnect was. So, I mean, as a senior guard, I just got to step up and do what I did tonight. And then it's great when you have teammates who are willing to help you, because, you know, fatigue does set in, and they did an excellent job tonight with that.
How big did just have a bounce-back conference win?
It was huge. It definitely helped our morale to continue on with a strong push.
It definitely helped our morale to get a win like that. Big win. Let's talk about a couple hot teams. Let's start with a hot coach, Coach Lewis. Mr. Kraft at RGK won his 350th game of his career on Friday against Rocky River. They have won at least 10 games the past 3 years, 10 games in a row the past 3 years. They're off on another hot start. What do you think, Coach?
He's just a model consistency of high school coaching. And the one thing that's important is you look at their roster from last year. They lost two of their top two scorers. They lost Brett Friedman, who got a scholarship to Virginia Tech. So he was averaging 24 points a game. So we're looking into the Sweet 16 for this season. You really didn't put Audrey Kell in the equation, but
No, not me. Okay. Who didn't do that?
I didn't.
Okay, all right. Just make sure you get it right. I just want America to know. Wasn't Langston.
It was me. But he's proved me wrong, and they've definitely belong in the Sweet 16, and he's done a remarkable job. And, with no star power, on their team, it's just a team that's very well balanced and very well coached, and they play with purpose, and they play with passion.
Yeah, it's got to be fun for him. This is his son plays on the team, his senior year, shooter. That's got to be fun. That's successful, your kid. I was able to coach my kid when he was younger, and we had a lot of success. It's always fun to do that. And Audrey Kells is one of the teams, Rick, that's hot in the area. Jim Baker at Cannon School, who won back-to-back state championships, Central Cabarrus. He won his 500th game on Friday. What do you think about him as a coach and what he's doing?
Well, he's one of the better coaches, and you're going to see Cannon turn around. He took the job last year at Cannon. And of course, it was a mass exodus when he left, when Shay Ross left, to go to Florida.
Yeah.
He's rebuilding at Cannon. Now, he has a very, very young team, but he does have a star in Sean Nix, who's averaging like 25 points a game. So they're going to be a team that you're going to see a lot of next year and the year after.
All right, and Randall, a team I don't think is in your Sweet 16 either. I might be wrong. Lake Norman Charter Girls are 13-0, dude.
They are. They're playing good basketball right now. Right there on the cusp. Unfortunately, in the Sweet 16, we probably got 17 or 18 teams that I'm choosing from, mixing and matching each week.
Okay, all right.
So they're right there, but they got a big couple weeks coming up, so we'll see how they play.
Well, now back to you, Coach Lewis. Huff, first year Bo May, 10-3, won 4 in a row, exceeding expectations. About what you thought?
Exceeded expectations just based on what Huff had last year and the returning players. He's done a remarkable job, and he would have to be in consideration for one of the Coach of the Year honors.
Wow.
I think it's the big thing with Bo is Bo was not afraid to ask people for help. Being a first-year head coach, I think sometimes it's hard to reach out to others. And I was very, very pleased to hear that Bo, this summer, wanted to talk to a bunch of coaches and get a feel for how things should be ran and things like that. And I'm not surprised that he got off to such a great start.
Go ahead, Gary.
Is there anything that the May family doesn't do well? Is there anything
they hit game-winning shots. They hit game-winning shots really well. They throw footballs really well. They throw baseballs really well. And Mama was a heck of a basketball player. People forget at West Charlotte. A-May was one of the best ever.
Yeah, I mean they do, and they're smart too. Because Mark was a Moorhead scholar. Everybody thinks he was a football scholarship guy. He was a Moorhead scholar. So it's like, yeah, where's the fallacy in that family? Good.
Yeah, and the grandfather's in the Catawba Sports Hall of Fame and plays a bit of pro baseball. So yeah, it's an unbelievable family story.
I mean, is it the Currys or the Mays? Where are you going?
Yeah,
I think it's the Mays because it's more of them.
right.
It's more of them. Quantity. I know that Steph he takes up a lot of space because he's a top 10 basketball player in NBA history. Yes, I said top 10 in NBA history, and he changed the game. So that's what makes him top 10 in NBA history. And
that, have a little brother that had a 10-year NBA career is not a slouch either. I know it's not what his brother did, but Seth is still in the league too. So I don't know. I think I'm going Currys.
Richard, where you going? Is it Currys or May?
It's tough, and I'll say if I'm going to lean to the Currys, I'm going to give them credit for Sonia's sister India was Balmain Abbey's second leading all-time scorer. And I
forgot about that. Sonia was a heck of a volleyball player.
And Sonia was a great athlete, and I had the good fortune of seeing Seth and Steph when they were little guys chuck up balls at halftime when their aunt played at Balmain Abbey. So it was really fascinating to think back to when that was and to watch them progress, because any of us who saw them in high school would have not predicted the NBA for them. They are hard workers, late bloomers, and they have made their way by working hard and developing a skill shooting the basketball that obviously they can inherit quite strongly from their father.
They got out of the mud for sure. That's one heck of a family. Any closing thoughts, Richard? I give you the final thought.
Well, it's been an interesting year with a lot of people doing coaching expertise. I mean, the Kraft story I thought was fascinating because he got to go play in the gym named for his father at Hickory last week.
Yeah.
And I saw on social media they posted the picture of David Kraft is now the athletic director, his older brother at Hickory. So that was a really cool moment for the Kraft family, in addition to how he's defying low expectations by being good again this year.
Well, Rick, that was your tournament. What did you see there?
Pardon me, I didn't hear the question.
About Coach Kraft at your tournament, the Hickory tournament. That was your event.
Yeah, it was our event. The great thing about that was, Coach Kraft is a 3-sport star at Hickory. He played, multiple sports. His brother's the AD. So it was great having him back at Hickory, and I think he enjoyed the event very well. And, they won pretty easily. It just showed what a good coach he is.
Yeah.
I did want to make a comment. You did have Charlotte Christian on the list here.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. I'm sorry. Charlotte,
I think they're a team on the rise. I think it's a situation where Charlotte Christian has a lot of tradition. I think they got a little complacent in the program over the years, and they have new blood. And I think sometimes you got to interject new blood into a program. And you're looking at their strength of schedule and also their record. They've done extremely well, and we put them in the Sweet 16, and deservedly so. But the great thing about it is their top 5 players are all juniors. And so you're going to see them being a factor for next year.
Yeah, okay. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with our Players of the Week.
Hi, I'm Scott Fowler, sports columnist at the Charlotte Observer. I have been here 31 years, but you know what I never have had before here? A newsletter. I've got one now. It's free. I'd love you to sign up for it and get my take. Every single time I have a column, you'll see it first. Panthers, Hornets, college sports, high school sports, whatever controversies going on. Sign up for my free newsletter and you will be able to get my column every single time earlier than anyone else.
All right, we're back with our Players of the Week. We're going to start on the girls' side. Mr. Clark, Misa Garris.
She got 20 points and 5 steals, 5 assists. She's a do-it-all for them. A good win over Thomas Jefferson on Tuesday. Blair Haynes and Huff, they had a really good season. They're 9-4 right now. She scored 30 points in a 49-30 win at Garinger on Friday.
Right.
Reese Long, who we mentioned earlier at Lake Norman Charter, had 25 points in Tuesday's win. She's averaging close to 30 a game, I believe. Hannah Moss got her 1,000-point playing for Butler last week. A really good senior season for Hannah. And Emma Montanari and Lane Bethel at East Lincoln in a 58-47 win over Hickory on Friday, combined for 51 points, 19 rebounds, 9 assists, and 4 blocks.
Every single game those two girls go off. Game they go off.
100%.
Boys side, Mr. Lewis. I can't if I want to say Richard, that means Richard.
You used to say Richard all the time.
I can't say Richard. I gotta say Rick now. Rick, boys side, Ashton Pierce had a huge game for North Macon. Before I get you started, he talked to Richard after that 32-point game against Butler.
Well, your coach talked about how important it is to be 2-0 on the road in conference. How important was that? And obviously y'all started off strong and finished strong.
Yeah, we knew that coming into the away games that, it's hard to get a win on the road. So we had to go 2-0 on the road this week was big for us to give us more confidence going into our next game.
Your coach talked about how they came out in the zone and then y'all were able to kind of break it down and you were able to particularly find some spots. Did you feel particularly good after warm-ups, or was it just
Yeah.
one of those things?
I feel like it was just one of those days where, you know, you come locked in more than ever, knowing that, you know, you want to come somewhere at a great environment, a great team, playing them on the road, you got to fight harder. And practice, we've been locked in this week, so it was great for us to get that big dub.
Now a week off, coming a good time. Obviously, you get a chance to recharge your batteries for the closing stretch.
Yep, definitely. Get the rest of my legs. You know, we don't got no practice tomorrow, so, you know, we start up next week, get right back to it, so we get prepared for our game Friday.
And obviously, a lot of talk when realignment happened about how tough this conference was going to be. Has it been what you thought it would be?
Definitely, yeah. You know, you want to block out the noise because, you know, it's basketball at the end of the day. So even though they changed up the conferences, we still got to beat North Meck no matter what.
All right.
We still got to be North Meck no matter what. Rick.
And Dwayne is going to be Dwayne no matter what.
Well, the man's won 3 out of 5. He's going to being Dwayne's not bad. Rick, tell us about your players of the week.
Well, Ashton Pierce, and I was watching the game against Butler. The thing that was impressive to me, the game was very close in the first quarter, was 22 up. And then the next thing you know, that Ashton Pierce went on a big run with it, hitting the threes. Yeah. And then the next thing you know, they were up by 12 or 14 points. But he had 7 threes for the game. And that's the reason why he's on the preseason all-observer team. Next is R.J. Moore. He's 6'7", ambassador.
He's 6'7" now?
He's right at 6'7". He's very thin. He's long. He's athletic. He can shoot the cover off the ball. The most important thing about him is it's so effortless in his shooting. Mm-hmm. And, you know, he can score at all 3 levels, but he had 28 points in the game against East Mecklenburg. And he's a high major prospect all the way. He'll be one of these guys who all the Blue Bloods will be after. Mm-hmm. Next up is John Slusher at Huff in the 77-68 win over Garinger. Had 21 points, 13 rebounds, 8 assists, and 3 steals. And he had 26 points and 11 rebounds in a 66-47 win over West Meck on Tuesday night. The other player is our preseason player of the year so far, and he's just a sophomore. And, you know, the thing about Jaleel Smith, Huss is 11-2, one of the top teams in the 5A. He had 26 points, 8 rebounds. And here's the real thing that really separates him from most of the competition: 8 steals, 7 assists. He's one of the best on-ball defenders in the state. And when he's guarding you, he will lock you up. He's one of the best defenders out there. Nice. And then last is Noah Van Burden of Alexander Central. He's a Division III prospect that can also shoot the cover off the ball, and he's done a really good job for Alexander Central. He made 10 of 20 shots, 5 of 10 threes, and 12 of 13 free throws for 37 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists.
He's had several games this year where he's gone off like that. East Meck had a kid a couple years ago, a left-hander shooter, name's escaping me, but he's putting up those type of numbers that kid used to do. I think that kid is at Randolph-Macon now. I think they're number 2 in the country, but his name's just escaped me for some reason. But how good is John Slusher, Rick? Because every time I look up, John Slusher's having a big game.
Well, to be honest with you, he's a player that I need to evaluate more. I haven't seen enough of him to make an honest evaluation of the player.
We're going to send Richard Walker out to Huff game pretty soon. We got to get some intel on Mr. Slusher because he's going off every single night. And Richard, tell me about Jaleel Smith. I know Rick named him midseason player of the year. I saw him at one of Rick's events over the holidays at Marvin Ridge. Very impressed by the 6-foot guard, lightning quick. Didn't he come? Was he at Hunter Hustle and transfer somewhere else and come back?
He left. He was at Winston-Salem Prep to start the school year, and apparently got homesick. And/or Z. Phillips called him a bunch, wanted him to play with him at Huss. So back at Huss after middle of September. So, you know, Jaleel has got great bloodlines. I know Perry Smith, his grandfather, was a conference player there at Shelby back in the 70s. Nice. Huss kind of surprised people by getting to the Western Finals last year. Of course, Ben Smith kind of had their way with them in the Western Finals, but pretty high expectations for Huss this year. And they played a really challenging schedule, lost a couple of games, but I would have to say they're the favorite to win the Big 6, 5A, 6A.
Well, I think the thing that makes Jaleel so special is the other side of the ball. I think he fills it up. He gets his teammates involved offensively, but defensively, he is a nightmare, an absolute nightmare on defense. His hands, always active hands, lots of steals, lots of deflections. And as the opposing point guard, he just wears on you all night long. And I think that's where he makes the biggest impact.
No question.
Well, having being a two-way player, that's going to get you to college, particularly in these days when it's hard to get to college. We have a new segment we're going to start doing. We did a little bit in football last year. Cameron's going to interview a player each week on a Cam one-on-one. This week he sat down with Kiara Anderson. Obviously, she had a huge role in Mallard Creek's win over North Mech. She's having a big season. She's going to Western Carolina, right, Randall?
Georgia Southern.
Georgia
Georgia
Southern.
Southern. Okay, she's going to Georgia Southern. And she's having a big year, so let's hear what she had to say.
All right, welcome back to Talking Preps. This is the Guru in Training, Cameron Williams, here for a one-on-one interview with my guest today, Kiara Anderson of Mallard Creek. We'll welcome her in now.
Hey,
Hey,
thank
Kiara,
you.
how are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Good. Appreciate you coming on. Really great season. You guys are off to a 12-4 start. I wanted to ask you a little bit just kind of about your basketball journey so far in your career. First 2 years at East Lincoln,
Right.
really good seasons there. What's the transition been like in your junior, now in your senior year, to Mallard Creek? Just talk a little about the competition you face at East Lincoln versus now in Charlotte, some of the bigger teams in the state, and week in and week out.
Yeah, the competition has definitely increased, and my role has definitely shifted and changed. Playing with the team with a lot of high motor girls and who are also very athletic, got a lot going for themselves. It's shifted a lot, but it's something that I think I needed and will help my career.
Yeah, when you just look at your career, I mean, you don't know what it's like to lose a lot of games. I think you lost maybe 11 games in your career, but when you do lose a game, what's one question I like to ask a lot of athletes? What do you try to intrinsically take from a loss to motivate you and the team and to kind of help you be a better leader moving forward so you don't have to lose?
I would say, since obviously we don't usually lose that often, when we do lose these games, they're tight, tough. We're playing against greater competition. So I try to find the good in those games and continue to tell my teammates to build off of that. And, it's certain situations where things may look sloppy or go left, but we bounce back. And as long as we're making progress, we'll eventually figure it out.
What's it been like playing for Coach Dixon these last season and a half so far?
It's amazing. I love Coach Dixon. She's a really good person outside of basketball. She has a lot going for herself as well. Honestly, I wouldn't want it any other way.
How does she, maybe her or any other of the coaches on the coaching staff, how do they challenge you as a player and challenge the team as a whole to continue to get better? Because you mentioned you guys don't lose a lot. You are a really sound team, ranked, I think, 4th by Max Preps in the state. So, you've got a great team, but how does she continue to drive that in, that y'all can be better and y'all can eventually be state champs?
For one, she most definitely holds us accountable. And another flip side of that, she lets us know what we're doing right and where we need to improve as an individual and as a team. So I think that's a really good point. And we really break stuff down. We go over stuff. We have individual one-on-ones. We have team meetings and everything that you could really ask for. We have a lot of resources that she provides for us. And I think that really does help us grow all together.
I got you. And I know another Talking Preps co-host, Randall, will appreciate this question. Who's a better player, you or Camry?
Camry Hobbs.
Yeah. Who's better, you or her?
I'm going to have to give it to Camry. She's just such a selfless person. She has a really high IQ. She makes poised decisions all the time. That's really admirable about her game.
Yeah. And last one for you, just looking back to the win over North Mech, just how big was that game? Obviously, you'll see them again, but just how big was that game motivation-wise for this team moving forward?
That game, winning that game really did mean a lot for us because, for one, obviously they're a really good team. And we had just came from out of the past 6 games, we had lost 4. So we've been off some L's, and to bounce back and get a big win like that again, even though we had been losing, I could see the progress that the team was making playing against these national ranked teams and everything. So doing that really solidified that the little bit of work that we had put in had fortunately worked out for us. And yes, I know we will see them again, and there was holes in our gameplay, but that's just where we always got to go back to the drawing board and make those adjustments.
I feel that. Well, Kiara, thanks again for coming on. I really do appreciate it, and look forward to seeing how the rest of the season unfolds for y'all.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Randall Clark, the host of Talking Preps. We are back with another basketball season. Join us each Monday to get the latest news on Charlotte area boys and girls hoops. We've got rankings, predictions, player interviews, and more. Watch the show every Monday at noon on charlotteobserver.com, streaming on all platforms Monday at 9 p.m. Don't miss the #1 high school basketball show in North Carolina. Join us each week.
All right, we're back. It's time to talk.
Great interview by Cam, and Kiara is extremely, extremely humble. But Hobbs can't compare to her. She's the engine. She makes it go.
All right.
And she's very, very soft-spoken, but on the court, she is a dog. She is a dog. And I mean that in a good way. She is a
dog, but you are always going to turn the needle a little bit on Mallard Creek. You just always
got the needle. She can play. She's the best player on the team, and it's not close. It's not close.
All right. Games of the week. Richard, we got Rick Lewis, not Richard. Rick Lewis. We have a huge private school game. It almost feels like 1995 and not 2025. Latin and Christian are playing, but both it seems like they might be able to challenge Providence Day for conference supremacy. What do you think?
Well, you got the veteran coach going against the rookie coach, but I think the good thing about it is both teams are on the rise. Charlotte Latin's had a very good season, and we just spoke about, Charlotte Christian with the 4 juniors. So that should be almost like it used to be as far as a rivalry, and I'm sure it's going to be a packed house. And the thing is going to be excited about this particular game because it has a little bit special meeting now since Charlotte Christian's on the winning side.
Yeah, Charlotte Christian about to lock up their gym for good. They named the court for Bobby Jones, the NBA great. They won the state championship there, and Sean Brown, who also got to a state championship, and Coach Stephen Curry. Randall, this is your neck of the woods. What do you think about this game?
Oh, this game, they've been talking about this game since the summertime. This is going to be a big, big game. Coach Rick talked about a lot of juniors on the Christian side. There are some juniors on the Latin side as well, and these kids grew up together. They've been playing against each other for years, and this one's going to be personal. I think this one's going to be a good one. Christian likes to play fast, and they like to shoot the 3. So they want to make it a high-scoring, up-tempo game. I'm sure Coach Berger's going to try to slow it down, execute to a finish on offense. So 2 contrasting styles. It'll be very interesting to see how this one plays out Tuesday night.
And I don't have to ask who you're picking.
Don't we have picks later in the week?
Well, no, we can't pick this one. This is on Tuesday.
This one is on Tuesday.
You're always going to pick Latin, so we don't. Yeah.
Give me Christian at home. I think Christian.
You're going against your school.
Christian is going to protect home court Tuesday night, and I'm gonna go with the Knights.
That's big. You're going against your school. I can't believe that. Richard Walker, Crest at Hunter Huss on Tuesday. Hunter Huss is like the big dog in this conference, but they got a tough matchup in Kings Mountain, which is one game behind them. Is playing Ashburn that same night. Is this a one-dog race? Can Crest knock them off?
Well, Crest has probably now got Devaria Surratt and Lyric Pettis, the football players, now playing basketball. It'll be interesting to see how they navigate that. They lost to Kings Mountain and Shelby early on when I think Surratt was at the Shrine Bowl. So obviously Surratt's an important player for them. Right. Surratt's committed to play defensive back at NC State. Lyric Pettis is going to Duke. So are their basketball legs up and running by now? Tuesday will tell a lot, and this is a real challenge for Crest to be on the road and trying to figure that out.
It is so rare to see a Division I Power 4 football player be in school after Christmas break. That is so rare. You just don't see it.
And it was interesting because I half expected them to go, but when I went to the state championship game and talked to some of their coaches and some of those guys, they were like they wanted to come back because they've had pretty good basketball success. I don't know that they're going to be able to beat out Huss this year, but Crest is poised for a pretty good year, and those 2 players will play a huge role in that.
Gary, isn't there a lot of pressure to go to school, though, because you get the NIL, you also get a chance to maybe get on the field a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. It's a ton of pressure, but I'm always in favor of letting kids be kids. you don't get to be a kid but once. And
I'm
that's
giving
why
you $400,000 per ticket. You still want to be a kid?
yeah, because if you're good enough, you're still gonna get the money.
Okay.
You know, and most of the time it's the parents that are behind it, all this NIL stuff as far as let's transfer and go get this bag and let's go get that bag.
Right.
But it just drives me crazy. I'm not crazy anymore, but I don't like coaches who want kids to specialize. I really don't, especially when it comes to football and basketball and baseball, the major sports.
Yeah.
You can play them all, you know, because you could get injured in your main sport. And I just believe, and psychologically and physically, it makes you a better athlete when you play different sports because you're using different muscles, you got different reactions, and truthfully, college coaches, they really love football players that play basketball because they can go watch how they handle adversity on a basketball court, and they can see their facial expressions.
It's funny you say that. You guys were talking about Drake May earlier. I met Coach Saban at Myers Park. They're watching Drake May play basketball.
Yeah, they love football players that play basketball because they can see how they take coaching.
Yeah.
They can see how they react to their teammates. Those are things you can't see if you got a football helmet on.
Absolutely.
And I also think another factor in this is the position those kids are playing. Drake May, you recall, didn't play his senior year in basketball because he was a quarterback.
Right.
I think the fact that Surratt and Pettis are defensive backs and maybe not completely expected to play right away at State and Duke, maybe why they're allowed to do it. But a skill player that's a wide receiver, running back, quarterback, those coaches want them to show up in January.
Yeah, I bet so. Rick, you going to say something?
I think the kids at the smaller schools have a tendency to want to stay out of loyalty because really in those smaller communities, the school means more to the community and the community supports it. And I think that's a way for those players to give back to the school and the community.
There's a certain player at Kinston Reedsville, from a small school that left him with the Oregon a little early, but I get your point. Rick, last game, Robinson and Carson, these are two hot teams just outside of Charlotte. What do you think about this one?
Well, the thing about this is going to be a very fast-paced game. I think J.M. Robinson averages like 78 points a game, and then Carson's averaging right at 76 points a game. So they both like push tempo. The impressive win with J.M. Robinson is they played Mooresville twice this year, which is a 8A school, I believe. And, they lost the first game very close, and then they just beat Mooresville, which is a marquee win for them.
Yes. Yeah.
Carson did lose to their rival Salisbury, but these are two very well-coached teams. And, you look at J.M. Robinson, the thing that's in their favor is they're very senior heavy laden, whereas Carson's mostly their top players are all juniors. So as far as the experience factor goes to J.M. Robinson.
Okay, Randall wants to talk about a game that's going to be on at the time this show streams, but we'll let him talk about it. The Catholic Dardiquelle Monday. For those of you who watch on the Observer at noon, maybe you hear this, but if you watch it on the stream, you'll probably be at the game. But go ahead, Randall.
I did get to see Catholic play Friday night, and I just think Mike Kraft versus Mike King tomorrow night is going to be an absolute slugfest. I think both of these teams get after it defensively. Audrey Kell shoots it really, really well. Yeah. So,
always do.
Catholic's going to really have to get out the shooters. But I do think that, offensively, Jack Siegel has been really, really good for them. And I think, the way that they play, Catholic's being very aggressive. So it's going to be – it should be a 12-round, kind of knockout battle tomorrow night.
Two great coaches. And then on Saturday, we got a bunch of games, Rick Lewis. What of these stick out in your – I know you have a tournament you're going to talk about, but what are these of all these games, what 2 or 3 stick out in your mind?
Well, first of all, at the Carmel, I think there's, several games that really stick out. I think Ambassador Christian, they're trying to get in the NCISAA. They're 11-10. They play the toughest schedule in the state of North Carolina. It's been just a brutal schedule. They're on a 6-game winning streak. And, of course, they have R.J. Moore, which is a high major prospect. They go up against High Point Wesleyan. And I think what you're going to see there is a very good Ambassador Christian play at the Carmel Christian. The Butler and the Queens Grant game, in my opinion, that will be the last big test for Queens Grant and Joe Badgett. If they can get by Butler on Saturday, I really believe that Queens Grant will run the table and capture the 2A state championship. The last game of the night, you have Independence against Carmel, and these are two teams also that's played a very difficult schedule. And the thing about with Independence, they're a very balanced team. I was looking at their scoring. You got 3 guys that average over 10 points a game, and then you have 2 guys that average right around 8 points a game. So they're a very balanced team. Carmel Christian is 9-9. Again, they played a very brutal schedule. They're better than their 99 record, so I think that's going to be a nice game as well.
Yeah. The game that kind of sticks out to me, Gary, that Hillside West Charlotte doubleheader at the West Charlotte Peaks Basketball Showcase, that's going to be a hard game to get into.
Yeah, it will. You got 2 traditional high schools that were prior to integration, what they used to call the Negro High School. And you know, they successfully made the transition to integration, and they still carry that tradition that they had prior to integration. So that'll be interesting. You know, the thing that caught my eye looking at all of these games and that we have on this list here is how now this generation of ADs is allowing their individual coaches to go out and schedule games.
Yeah.
When I used to coach, the girls had to play whoever the boys played.
Yep.
You know, and the basketball team had to play whoever football played. It was like a lock contract. Whoever football played, that's who basketball was going to play. That's who baseball was going to play. And then within basketball, whoever the boys played, that's who the girls had to play. And so I like to commend the ADs around CMS to let these teams, individual teams, go out and schedule who they want to play and not be tied to football.
Rick, Greensboro Day, Davidson Day sticks out to me, and then Randall, Myers Park, New Hanover. Rick, talk to me about Greensboro Day, Davidson Day.
Well, Greensboro Day is currently the #1 team in the state, and they're nationally ranked. They're going up against Davison Day. Again, Davison Day has played a very brutal schedule. It's one of these games that you know, it's going to be at Davison Day. Don't be surprised if Davison Day can sneak that game out, because, you know, they start 3 guys that are 6'10" and taller, you know, and, you know, they've had a situation where I think they're trying to really just figure out the rotation and just find the right chemistry. I think they're getting there. They've tried to go with that 3 big lineup. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but they got, you know, 3 really good guards. It's just a situation of just developing that chemistry. But I do think they're going to be a very legitimate title contender at the private school level. So this should be a barn fest of a game, and you're going up against Greensboro Day with one of the best coaches in the country in Freddie Johnson.
Yeah, and Randall, New Hanover's played a whole lot of CMS teams this year. They're taking on another one, Myers Park.
They have, and I think they're just trying to get ready for these state playoff runs, and you know, they've had some really, really good matchups. I think this Myers Park team is a young team, and if you catch them on the right night, they can really, really shoot the ball well.
Mr. Victory.
Yes. Yeah. Well, Victory, Cash Hall, Rucker Jameson, AO is a monster inside. So when they get it clicking on all levels, they're a very, very competitive team and hard to beat. But they're young, and so it's just, you know, bringing that energy, bringing that effort every night for them. That's what they're trying to work through.
Yeah,
I want to mention one thing about New Hanover. They drove up and participated in the George Lynch at the beginning of the season.
Right.
You know, it was just for the fact that Randall said they really want to get prepared for the state championship run, because they will be the favorite in the eastern part of the state.
And they lost in the past 2 state championship finals to North Meck. So yeah, they know what it takes to get there. They know what it's like to be heartbroken. And I think, you know, beefing up their schedule will help. And I think, you know, a football team, to go back to football, Gary, like Raleigh Millbrook, would be well served to come down to the West to play some non-conference games so they can be ready for a Huff in the state championship, because everybody thinks that's going to be a rematch. Last game of the day, Richard Walker, I wanted to ask you about. You're going to see Chambers at Hopewell. What do you think about that game?
Well, I learned a lot about Hopewell. But Chambers, injuries have played a role in their team, transfers, and that they've still managed to be somewhat successful this year.
Yeah.
But they're in the really tough conference, and it'll be interesting to see if they can pick up the pieces and move forward. And a game against Hopewell gives them an opportunity, but obviously a real challenge. I mean, think about if you're Coach Fraser, what do you think about your team last year, say in April, versus where they are now? Personnel and injuries and everything else that's going on with them.
They may have been the number one team in the state had everybody come back last year. And I do remember this same tournament last year. They played Christ School. Christ School won the state championship, was top 20 in the country, only lost to one North Carolina team, and that North Carolina team was Chambers at home last year. So that could be something. Rick, you wanted to mention Chacho, Womack, and Hillside game.
Well, the one thing, and you were there when West Charlotte went up against Myers Park and Chacho hit the game-winning shot in overtime. He's one of the most improved players that I've seen since last year. We had him on the second team preseason, midseason observer team. Don't be surprised if he makes the first team. He has been playing at a different level. He's 6'3". The thing about Chacho is that he can shoot from all three levels. He can shoot the three-pointer, but he has a great mid-range game. And the thing that he's starting to do now is he's starting to be challenged defensively. I think Jacoby Davis is basically, trying to separate yourself. And I've seen him like this past weekend on the defensive end, put more intensity defensively. And he's really been on a tear. So, I think he's one to watch as far as the second half of the year as being a premier player.
I tell you what, this West Charlotte team reminds me of Richard Walker of the 91 West Charlotte basketball team, bunch of little sophomores that nobody heard much of. There was one that kind of stuck out over the rest named Jeff McGinnis. They got one that stands out a little bit more than the rest this year. I think in Kahari Coleman, I think, in 8A, they're going to make a run. They're going to be a problem. You got 3, 6'4", 6'5" guys who can handle, dribble, pass, and shoot. They got a state championship coach on the bench. They do have a decent big man inside. He's not that Bonaparte, but they have a decent big man inside. I think they're going to be a problem as you get into the 8A playoffs. It's kind of weird because we always talk about how the football coach, when Sam Griner was there, how they would slow down because they were playing 3A teams in the playoffs. West Charlotte's going to slow down because they're going upper class when the playoffs start. It's just kind of how things roll this year. But it's time for our coach versus coach. So we're going to put Richard and Rick in the back, and we're going to get Randall and Gary to go one-on-one after the break. Every week on Thursday and Saturday morning, get the latest in high school news from around the region in the Charlotte Observer's free newsletter, Talking Preps, the newsletter. Make sure you sign up now. All right, guys, we're back. It's time for my favorite part of the show, Coach versus Coach. You guys have to forgive me. I still have the old theme music. We got Alex in there, and I'll get it fixed. We'll work on it. But here's the theme music. We're going to get to it. All right, first question, Gary. You want to kick? Well, you can't kick or receive. Do you want to have the ball?
I'll let RC have it first.
Okay, RC goes. All right. Randall, should former Chambers and NC State star Hollywood Smothers have gone pro instead of going to Texas? He flipped from Alabama to Texas, I think, on Sunday. He's a redshirt sophomore running back who was looking like a third or fourth round NFL draft pick. Running backs have a shelf life. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to play, look back and say, oh, he should have left. But I mean, that NIL money you get at Texas isn't a bad check. It isn't a bad check at all. So I'm sure, he's doing all right. I think he still made the right decision. They do have a short shelf life, but I think it would be easy to look back and say, oh, he should have just went to the league.
Gary?
I look at it long term. One way I look at it is at Texas, he's going to have a 1-year contract. If he goes to the league as a rookie, he's going to have a 4-year contract. Now, the first year at Texas is probably going to pay more than the first year as a 4th round pick.
Right.
But the 4th round pick has got a 4-year contract. Texas is a 1-year contract.
Right.
And then I know we've gotten away from this when we talk about college sports. But I mean, how close can he be to getting a degree if he's at his 3rd school in 3 years?
Yeah.
You know, because all those credits don't travel.
No, they don't.
They don't travel. So
They do
when
not.
he was at Oklahoma, he lost some credits when he went to state.
Yeah.
And when he goes from state to Texas, I'm pretty sure he's going to lose some credits. And, you know, how do you even concentrate on a major? And especially with football, with the position he plays, it's going to be a short shelf life, as you say. And that degree from any of those schools he's attended may wind up being more valuable than, you know, 1 or 2 years in the league. We don't know that yet, but I think what's getting lost in all this NIL and transfer portal is who's graduating. And I would like for kids to graduate at some point.
That's a very good point. When my son transferred to Notre Dame, he lost a year's worth of credits. 1 year's worth of credits. So that's a very real thing. He was, you know, he had to work really hard. He ended up getting his master's, but he had to work really hard, and that's a tough thing to lose that much school when you transfer schools. The next question I have for you guys is from Dave Ramsey, the internet guru about finances. He makes a statement about online gambling being the portal to HE double. And how long, and my question is, how long is it going to be before online gambling, which Randall knows a whole lot about, comes to high school? Now I'm going to play for you what Mr. Ramsey says so you can hear him, and then Randall, let you talk.
The fastest growing addiction that is destroying young men in their 20s is online sports gambling. FanDuel is a portal to hell. DraftKings ain't king of nothing except their own pocketbook, and they're screwing an entire generation of young men because you don't win. That's why they can afford to buy ads. They're back to back to back to back to back ads every time you turn on a sporting event. They're spending billions of dollars. You know where they're getting that? It's out of your kid's freaking pocket because they're screwing an entire generation. This is evil stuff right here.
Randall, I know you do parlays and all kind of combo bets that I don't understand. Is Dave cooking or is Joe exaggerating?
Dave is not wrong. I definitely think that there's, I mean, you can tell by, you know, since it's became legal in the state, I don't think it gets to high school sports. I don't think people are betting on websites about, you know, who's winning the Charlotte Catholic, Charlotte, Latin basketball games. But I do think what he said is very, very real. Like, there are a lot of people, especially these young adults in their 20s, that are spending a ton of money that some of them don't even have on online sports gambling.
Gary?
First, let me say that I only will bet in a casino. Right?
And we know you like Vegas too.
Yeah, and I've been to Vegas 25 times. Maybe
all three people on the screen right now love Vegas. That's a very weird thing.
That's my favorite place to go. But now that we got two Kings down the road in Kings Mountain, and we got Caesars up in Danville, which is an hour and a half away. I know the distance because I've been there.
I was about to say, Zach, you've been there.
But I keep my betting to I bet the first weekend of football season, the first weekend of playoffs, and then in the spring, I'll bet once the NCAA tournament comes, and that's it. And my buddies are always saying, you can put that on your phone, and that's the reason I don't have it on my phone.
Too easy.
It's too easy. It's too easy. I got to be very serious to get in a car and drive an hour and a half to go make a bet.
Right.
And so that's what keeps me grounded from getting hooked. And, especially when you do it online with these kids, they don't understand. The government can track your taxes then. They can track how much you win and lose, and you got to pay somebody else a portion of your winnings. But to get back to this this argument from Dave Ramsey, I see it already. Okay. I'm in a high school, have been, even though I'm retired, I sub, and the kids are already playing online. Now, the games are not online, the high school games, but that doesn't stop the kids from playing. I have kids that come up to me all the time. Coach Richmond, look how much money I won this weekend. And these kids are under 18 years old, and they figured out how to get on DraftKings and how to get on FanDuel. And they're betting every weekend.
Yep.
They are betting already. So it's already in the high schools. The games are not on the high school, but the betting is.
In Texas, there are high school games on bet that you can bet on right now.
Wow. That's
just
crazy.
wanted you guys to know that. Last question. D2 schools are planning to vote during their NCAA tournament on whether to allow a fifth year of eligibility. D1 schools are pushing back against the fifth year of eligibility. Should the NCAA go ahead and do it and give everybody 5? Gary, I think you're
I would say you get a fifth year if you graduate in 4. And so you're going to use that fifth year to, start grad school or something like that. But otherwise, I would say you should get 5 years to play 4. I don't think you should play more than 4. I mean, this stuff about
like the quarterback in Miami that went to school with Bryce Young.
All these guys, 25, 26 years old playing
Indiana, average age of Indiana's football team is 23.
Yeah.
The Eagles are 25.
And the reason I don't like it is because that just takes more scholarships away from high school kids.
Right.
High school kids, unless you're a 4-star, it's hard to get a scholarship to play college ball. You are what they call the leftovers. You're the last priority. They're trying to get the transfers. They're trying to get the grad transfers. And then they look and say, okay, what's left over in high school? The schools are divided up. Their recruiting cycles where, okay, we're going to have 4 spots open next year. Let's get 3 transfers and 1 high school kid. And that's what I don't like is how it affects the high school.
Randall.
That's my biggest thing. I think 5 years to play 4 is fair. But it's to the high school kids have become the bottom of the barrel, and it's just not fair to them. If you're not a top 100, top 150 kid, it becomes very, very hard to get to college. And, I don't know if there's another way around it.
Well, it is definitely coming. Rick Lewis, you got any thoughts on this one?
Well, I sent the text to you. I think the thing we're seeing is the NCAA is becoming like a farm system, very similar to Major League Baseball. You can be drafted like a first-round draft pick by the New York Yankees, but you're going to go to the single A, then double A, then triple A, then you make the majors. So what you're seeing at the college level is players, unless you're that 4 or 5-star player, almost every player is going to a level lower than would have went 3 and 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So now what's become more important is, for a lot of these local players that want to get to the college level, don't forget about the D3s, the D2s, the community colleges, because those are avenues that you can get to the higher level. In what's happening is you can go to a community college, and we had a player just recently that went to like Gaston Community College, which was a D1 JUCO. Well, he went there and then he played 1 year at Gaston Community College and got a scholarship to a mid-major school. You're seeing recruiting changing completely from the way it was 4 or 5 years ago versus how it's being done today. So nowadays, you may have to go in steps. You're going to get recruited. Don't be afraid to take the chance and go to a D2 or a community college and work your way up. Because like you said with Indiana on the football, the average age is 23.
Yes.
And the same thing is happening on the basketball side. I know a couple years ago, Utah State, the average age was 25.
Yeah.
So, the colleges are wanting the older, more mature players. And just to end this, let's say, for example, I'm a college coach at a mid-major level and I need a 6'6" athletic wing.
Mm-hmm.
Am I going to go out and get a 6'6" athletic wing who played at a D1, who's 23 years old, who's already physically developed, or am I going to go out and recruit an 18-year-old senior?
That got to wait on? The answer is I got to look out for my job. It's interesting you mentioned Gaston College because Richard works at Gaston College. You're seeing this transition he's talking about, right?
Absolutely. And the coaches are telling me that when they recruit players, our players get Division I offers. If you don't take it, it's not going to be there because of what Rick was saying. The coaches now, because they're saving their job and they get tape, they look in the portal, and the portal, they know they can project easier what a kid, even a Division II, Division III player can do at the Division I level. Whereas a high school kid, you're projecting what you hope he's going to become. Right. And there's the age discrepancy that Rick talked about. So it's downside all the way around for the high school kid.
Yeah,
and one other point too, Langston, about the equation now. Let's say, for example, you're a player and you go to a mid to high major level and you're sitting the bench. Mm-hmm. Well, because you're going there and you're a freshman and you may be one of only 2 freshmen on the team and everybody is 22, 23, 24 years old.
Awkward situation.
If you want a transfer, the only way that you're going to transfer is you're going to transfer down. So your NIL value is going to decrease and become almost zero. On the other hand, if you go to a lower level, let's say you go to a community like Gaston Community College, and Richard, you know Benny Moss.
Yes.
He's been around, the college game for quite some time. If people just went over there and looked at that roster, you're going to say, wow, these rosters, they're grown men. But you can go there at a community college, improve yourself, and then get recruited at a higher level. And when you do that, your NIL value is going to increase as well.
Yeah, Gaston College has a kid right now, Caleb Seiler, that played for Joe Badgett at Carmel Christian and has been to 2 different schools, right, Richard?
Correct.
And then
now 3. This is the third.
Now he's at Gaston College, but he's getting some D1 attention.
Lots of D1 attention.
He'll be a D1 player next year with a 6-figure NIL too.
Correct.
And this was a kid that was very nearly out of basketball a little while ago. So
but you notice what we all said in our answers. It's NIL.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of high school parents think, okay, in order to get the NIL, I got to go to D1 right away.
Mm-hmm.
And they are not patient enough to understand that it's an investment. It's a time investment.
Now, you may get the NIL to 1 year, like Rick is saying, but, there's a kid right now that's playing on the Power 5 that played 1 minute yesterday. They could have gone to a mid-major and been a star, but and he may have to drop down, to Rick's point, next season. So yeah, I think that might be the route to go unless you're just a bona fide Caleb Wilson, Boozer type of player where you're gonna immediately go in and be a difference maker. Okay, so we're about an hour in. I'm really cool, Gary. I cannot believe we're an hour in. I'm about to say these words I'm about to say, but it's time for Randall's final thoughts.
I think one of the biggest things, this is the best part of the year as we get into conference play. I think there are a lot of good matchups. And I think, as a coach, you got to remember that it's a new season. And with a new season, you got a chance to really, really take advantage of some of these matchups. Mallard Creek girls basketball being a perfect example of, we might have lost a couple of games early, but we got a chance to get back on the horse. They did a great job of that Tuesday. And I'm excited to see other teams in some of these big-time matchups that we have coming up in the next few weeks as things start to unfold and people start to separate themselves.
Awesome. I joke with Gary because we filmed a football show, and it's about twice as long as this, sometimes more than twice. And we got to fix that for next year because we get done. It's like the night news is coming on by the time we get done. It's crazy. All right, so that is Randall Clark, the best trainer I know. That's Richard Walker, the only man in Charlotte who's done this longer than me, I believe. Rick Lewis, the number 1 voice of high school basketball. You heard it all night. That's Gary Richard, my frat brother and longtime CMS coach. I'm Langston, and we are done talking preps.